The way Christoph Gans brought Silent Hill 2's story to life is genuinely offensive. If you enjoyed Return to Silent Hill, I really don't want to yuck your yum, so feel free to click off the video because I don't have anything good to say. I made a video a couple weeks ago about how I expected it to be bad, but I thought it would be entertaining, and it's not. And I'm not saying this as like a pretentious fan either. My girlfriend, who doesn't know anything about the series, gave it a 2 out of 10. And I did ask before giving my opinion to try to get an unbiased point of view. I don't feel like I owe this movie a rating because of how disrespectful it is to fans, especially with some of the twists, if you can call them that, which we will get to. I'm not giving a spoiler warning for this video because I don't think you should watch the movie. That being said, let's get into the plot. From the start, there's some red flags, but I was more than willing to ignore them. I didn't expect a perfect retelling. James has a psychiatrist that's trying to help him with Mary's passing, and I imagine this is used to make the story more digestible for people who don't know about the franchise, which starts off passable, but eventually becomes a huge catalyst for major problems in the movie. There's some eye-rolly flashback scenes of how James met Mary and memories they have together throughout, but this almost makes enough sense to be included. I didn't enjoy these sections, however, it's a decent way to show what reminds James of Mary, because a movie isn't going to be like the game where you read James's thoughts through text on a screen. He runs into Angela at the start of the movie in the cemetery, and at this point, I'm like, okay, cool, maybe this will be a decently faithful adaptation. But she never brings up her family in this scene. There's a truly awful reason for this, but I need to explain the other problems first. James sees a homeless man for some reason who can see the monsters, a glaring issue as they are only supposed to be in James's Silent Hill. But after the homeless man is killed off, we get a transition to the dark world and start a chase sequence. This is honestly something that feels like it was ripped from the first movie, which was kinda whatever. I feel like half of Christoph Gans' idea of Silent Hill comes from his own movie. But the scene offers a way to circumvent James walking around and solving puzzles, a big part of the game, but not to the story. So again, fairly inoffensive for the time being. He ends up at the apartments where he finds Eddie, and Eddie is only in one sequence in the movie. The sequence being him throwing up, following James, they find Laura, and Pyramid Head shows up. Laura and Eddie can see Pyramid Head, and Eddie just like kicks James in the stomach here and leaves after. This is genuinely the last time we see him. And I'll use this moment to talk about Pyramid Head briefly, as well as touch on Maria. Pyramid Head is handled terribly. When he's moving around, it just sounds like a regular guy grunting. I was cringing really hard every time the most iconic monster was on screen. And on top of this, the movie zooms in multiple times through the pyramid to show us it's James. Not only is this super corny, but like, what is this? Why did Gans think this was okay? Maria is mostly fine. I don't really have gripes with the character itself, but she is killed off in a really eye-roll inducing scene. James is just tired of her trying to get him to stop looking for Mary, so he basically does what Eleven does in Stranger Things, where she holds up her hand and screams, but instead of putting his hand up, he covers his ears, which summons Pyramid Head to kill her. I was already taken out of the movie completely at this point, and we aren't even at the worst part yet. Before we get into that, I'll talk about Laura for a second. She is a dickhead just like in the game, but has a weird baby monster thing she carries around. I'm happy she retains some of her likeness. We don't have her interacting with Eddie because, again, he's just not in the movie. But to tell you how her and Angela's story wraps up, we have to talk about the worst part of the movie, Mary. The way Mary is handled is embarrassing. James and her are never married, they're just like a little fling. And apparently, Mary is the daughter of the cult leader in Silent Hill. The reason she gets sick in the movie is because she is being poisoned by the cult, willingly. If that doesn't make sense, I'm sorry, but they don't explain any of this nonsense. James gets weirded out when he finds out about this, and he demands that they leave Silent Hill. She says it doesn't matter if she leaves, because he will never look at her the same. So they just break up, and he leaves Silent Hill. He only goes back when the poison starts to kill her, where she basically asks James to just finish her off, which he does. Now, this is just bad, and you're probably like, oh, I get why this is so upsetting as a fan. But this isn't even the worst part. The worst part is that towards the climax of the movie, Laura asks James if he remembers visiting Mary's grave. And when we get a flashback scene, the name on the headstone is Mary Laura Angela Crane. So the reason Laura and Angela's story don't get fleshed out is because they are James's manifestation of certain parts of Mary, I guess. They are not their own characters living their own lives in Silent Hill. They are just extensions of Mary. And I really wanted to leave the theater during this reveal. I don't know if I have ever been offended to this degree by fiction before, but I stayed and it didn't really get better. Because of this, it's not Angela climbing the burning staircase, it's Mary. And so you would think Angela doesn't need wrapped up now because she isn't even a real person. But no, James finds her on a bed getting pulled in by the abstract daddy. This doesn't need to happen. And it's sort of just gratuitous in a way, the way that it's handled. You just hear moaning from the creature, you have the visuals in the background, the monster pulls her into the bed from her thighs. It's really uncomfortable to watch and not in a good way. So you're probably wondering, how does this confrontation go? Well, it just doesn't happen. Because James realizes that Angela is an extension of Mary, walks up to the creature, as Mary's face is on a part of it, he apologizes to Mary's face, and the creature disappears. Talking about this, even a day after watching it, is extremely frustrating. After this, James has the final confrontation with the Mary monster, who is just a moth-person hybrid, which looks horrible, by the way. And again, there's no actual confrontation. James just gently floats towards her, they embrace, and suddenly James is carrying Mary's body to his car. He drives his car with her body into the lake so they can be together forever. There isn't any emotional payoff to anything in this movie, but even at what is supposed to be the most dramatic part, James is looking at himself in the rearview mirror, and the Mustang logo is in the shot the entire time. What were they thinking with this shot? Outside of the story, the movie is just miserable to watch. The special effects are like identical to the ones from the 2006 movie. They speed up the motion of things that are supposed to be creepy, so it just looks horrible. Very early 2000s-esque effects. The movie also just flips back and forth between being blinding or too dark to look at 80% of the time. There's tons of jump cuts, like I got nauseous during some of the scenes from the horrible use of this. And the tone is just non-existent. It is foggy, but it's also just sunny out. Gans couldn't help himself from bringing up that it's raining ash, and the uncanny fog from the game is because it rained really hard the day before. I expected over-explaining to appease to a wider audience, but I still don't understand why they do this. The movie is treated like a 5-year-old is watching it and needs hand-holding through the entire thing. But for my girlfriend's review, this movie clearly isn't for a wider audience either. I think this movie is just for Christoph Gans. Initially, when I saw this movie had a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes, I thought to myself, there's no way this movie is worse than Revelation. It went up to like 16% or something, and I saw people saying things like, oh, the movie is pretty loyal to the source, and they handled Angela's character pretty well. I have no clue what these people are talking about. Revelation did not make me this upset. In my brain, I know Return to Silent Hill is a technically better movie, but in my heart, this is the worst adaptation possible. Every change can be explained by the movie, so all of the changes are intentional. And that's the worst part. It was all done on purpose. If you enjoyed this movie, I am happy for you. I had to drive an hour and a half to a theater that was actually showing it. So that's 3 hours round trip for the worst 2 hours I could possibly imagine. I would say I'm disappointed but not surprised, but I am surprised. I did not think it would be this bad. I'm usually a lot more positive when talking about movies I don't enjoy, but I really can't give this movie any leeway. Let me know what you thought of this atrocity in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe for more like it. I've been Kali, and I'll see you in the next one.